Thank you for staying with us on Consider This. Melisa and Sharaad here with you tonight. And here's what we want you to consider tonight. Kelantan Deputy Menteri Besar Datuk Muhammad Amar Nik Abdullah has confirmed that the purchase of Mercedes-Benz was not just for official use for the Menteri Besar, but also for use by other state leaders. A total of 14 Mercedes-Benz cars were bought for the State Executive Council members as well as the State Secretary. Now, the Menteri Besar's office had said the purchase of the Mercedes-Benz was due to safety considerations and that maintenance of a Mercedes was far more economical than that of a Proton Perdana, which is considered an old car.
Okay, where do we begin with this, Melisa? There's so many interesting sides to it because, one of the more interesting games in Malaysia Baru is mocking politicians for their double-speak or the lack of consistency in the positions they take. Of course, with this particular incident happening in Kelantan, there was a whole issue of Buy Muslim First, and that acronym has been turned to Buy Mercedes First. So, right, but whatever it is, I mean, politicians do need transport to get around. I believe the Ecuadorian president very famously drove his old car around.
Well, I don't know enough about cars to know about the safety specifications of cars. Neither do I know about the maintenance costs of cars. I admit my lack of knowledge on that.
But I believe all cars on the road ought to be safe, minimally. How much insulation do we want to provide for our politicians? Well, I'm not clear. I mean, they could go in armored cars if,
tanks. Go to Parliament in tanks. I have to say, though, one thing that really strikes me is the optics of this, right? So how does it look for you if you were in Kelantan and you saw your Menteri Besar driving around with a luxury car, you saw the State Exco driving around with luxury cars, would you feel okay with that? And I'm just wondering,
which is interesting because for many people, looking at their leaders drive around in expensive cars might actually give them a sense of some reflected pride, and they might think this is great, this is a show of power, it's a show of wealth, it's a show of that they've achieved something, we all have collectively achieved something, as opposed to the criticism that comes from a different segment of society that sees this as politicians aggrandizing themselves, taking resources they say they can't give to poor people, but very happily spend on themselves. So I think the optics are multiple in this case, and it's up to the politician to decide whether there's going to be political costs to doing this.
Yeah, well, we'll have to see how the conversations around this develop as we may see the cars on the road. But unfortunately, that's all the time we have for you tonight on this episode of Consider This. I'm Melisa Idris, with me Sharaad Kuttan, signing off. We will be back with you tomorrow. Thank you for watching and good night.